So a very warm welcome to everyone here. Hello, Estelle. We're very excited to have you at this presentation. I'm going to do a quick introduction, and then Vilma's going to introduce herself as well. So we want to get to it because we don't want to keep you too long. If you lose a connection at any time, please don't worry. We are recording everything, and the recording will go out tomorrow so that you can listen to it again. So don't worry about that. Okay, so my name is Karen Visser, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Biling Brain Training. And with me, I've got a very dear friend, Vilma Jansen for you. And we've known each other, yes, Vilma, it feels like forever. It's more than 10 years. No,
yes.
No. Yeah, more than 10 years. So she's going to introduce herself as well. But like I said, my business partner is Marlies, so she can't be here. But a warm welcome from all of us. So Vilma, I think I'm going to let you start and introduce yourself. And how it's going to work is Vilma's going to do the one part. There's a reason why I asked her to co-host with me this session. So she's going to do the first part of the presentation, and then I'm going to take over and continue with the program itself and the technology that we use with this preschool listening program. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Vilma. At any time, you've got the chat box in front of you. If you've got questions, just type it in the chat, and I will get them to them as we go through the presentation, and we will answer all your questions at the end of the presentation. Okay, so Vilma, off you go. I'm going to silence myself.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. So a very good evening to everybody. As Karen has introduced me, I'm Vilma Jansen. My background is occupational therapy, so I got my degree about almost 13 years ago. I am currently the owner of the Biling Attention Training Center in Witbank. I've been the owner now for the past 10 years, and I'm also currently the head of the Kiro Bankenveld Preschool here in Witbank. So bottom line is my big passion is children and little ones, and that's why I'm so glad that I get to co-present this topic together with Karen tonight, because it's something that I really feel very passionate about. I am struggling with the flu a bit, so please excuse a few coughs and sniffles along the way. I think if you work at a preschool every day, you can't escape the bugs that are going around. But thank you and welcome to all. So to start off, as you all know, the topic for tonight is all about listening skills. So tonight we are very focused on our 5- and 6-year-olds, as this is about preschool listening skills. So as an introduction, I just listed a few facts for you about listening skills in this age group. So first of all, as most of you probably know, that listening skills are one of the most important skills for primary school children to master. Because remember, they can't read yet. So naturally, they're a lot more dependent on what they hear. So it's a very important skill at the moment. And because their primary school years are very much about language development, proper sound and mouth development, listening skills go hand in hand with that. You can't get around it. So that's why we're very much focused on improving listening skills in the best possible way. Listening skills are also critical for reading, writing, auditory memory. Remember, you can't read if you can't listen, because reading builds in steps. You first hear a sound out loud, and after that, when you've mastered the sound, you internalize it. Then you add sounds together, and then you read. So that is a nutshell explanation about reading skills, but ultimately listening skills do form a very important part of that process. Listening skills are important to friendships, and I think this is something that we don't always realize. Hey, when they are on the playground, they have to be able to listen to a friend, and then I mean different nuances, just maybe realizing that The tone of voice of my friend is different now. Maybe my friend is angry. Maybe my friend is sad. Maybe I have a friend that speaks a different language, which means that the sounds are different to the ones that I make. So listening skills play a very important part in forming friendships and in socializing on the playground. At my preschool, we often see that children who struggle with speech and listening skills tend to want to be alone and play alone. So that's why we can very directly see the impact of these skills on socialization. And then parents, it's just always better if our little ones are engaged in what they're listening to. Have you ever tried giving your little one instructions while he or she is running down the hallway, or when you're not making eye contact with them? They're not listening. So when we actively engage them in the activity, when we make eye contact with them while they listen, then it's better. You get better results from that. So another example that I can give here is when you read a story to them, to actually have them sit on your lap, watch the pictures with you, or when you tell them a story, make eye contact with them, engage them with movement and with sounds. They'll listen much better than when they're sitting in front of you and there's a book between you and they are listening, just only listening to the story. So that's just an example. If they're engaged, we get much better listening results from that. They're at an age at the moment where they are beginning to be able to filter out distractions. So the best example I can give here, parents and teachers, is when you go into a mall or into a shopping center or a store. You do your shopping, you come out, and I ask you, what song was playing in the store while you were paying for your shopping? There's a big chance that you won't be able to answer that. Why? Because your brain has learned throughout the years to filter out distractions and to just be able to pay attention to what's going on at that very moment. Because there's a lot of noise going on. There are conversations going on in the store. There are trolleys moving around. There's music playing. But it's amazing that our brains have been able to filter that out so that we can focus on the task at hand. And this is a skill that their little brains are only starting to learn now. Our little ones, grade R's, are able to listen with focus for about 5 to 10 minutes at this stage. That is the extent of their attention span, and it helps to give them just a little bit of a refresher after 10 minutes. So that's why you'll see in preschool, we do a lot with movement. We do a lot with our bodies, with music, so that we can give them that little bit of a break after each 10 minutes, more or less, because that is the limit of their focus. And then most children are able to settle down and listen to their teacher by the age of 6 to 7, so grade 1. Assuming they had the right sort of experience in the years before that, like spending time with adults. So I think that's one of our goals with introducing iListen to the preschools. We want to make sure that we give them valuable listening experiences in order for them to be able to settle down more easily when they get to grade 1, so that they can listen to their teachers. Okay, so listening skills depend on a few factors. So firstly, it's healthy diets. Parents, now I know it's a bit difficult to imagine. So how does food impact listening skills? Well, ultimately, your listening skills form part of your brain and form part of your neurological systems. And those systems have to be healthy. We can only get that through a healthy diet with not too much sugar, with a lot of protein and fluid. And by fluid, I mean water. So healthy diet is very, very important for our preschoolers. I mean, there's an interesting fact that says that almost 90% of their brains develop before the age of 5. So there's a lot going on in that little brain, and we must give it all the nutritional value that we can. And then plenty of outdoor play. Remember, with our little ones, they grow while their bodies are moving. So that's why you will see a lot of preschools are adapting the playful learning theory, because if they play and they move around, their learning is much more effective. And remember, when they're playing outdoors, they also taking part in conversations with other friends and sometimes with themselves. They can maybe do some fantasy play where they have imaginary friends or imaginary animals around them, which is again good for their vocabulary. So active outdoor play must form part of their everyday activities. We want to limit screen time. I'm sure this is not the first time you hear this. The thing is, parents, their little brains get very dependent on screen time and on the effect that it has, which means that the more screen time they get, the more they're going to crave that screen time when they're in class, which then again has an impact on the concentration. So we try to limit screen time, especially before bedtime, which I will get to just now. We want to encourage plenty of real life interaction between adults and children. At school, we try to motivate them to do a lot of imaginative plays. So we do dress-up plays. Today, we're going to pretend we're all pirates. Or today we're going to pretend that we're swimming in the sea, because that just gets them to step out of their world as a toddler and to step into a different world, which means different words, different vocabulary, different sounds. And by doing that, we can get some real life interaction. At our school, we have, every Friday, we have a little shoppers theme. So we turn our classrooms into little shops, and they actually come in with their little carts. They take what they need from the shop and they go and they pay, and they can actually take turns to be a shop assistant. So immediately you step out of the world as a toddler into this imaginary world of a shop owner, and they're using vocabulary like, good morning, how are you today? Would you like a bag? Have a good day. I have some friends who still say sanitize, please, when they come in. So, and that's really, really cute. So plenty of real life interaction really helps them to just explore with words and with different sounds. Good sleeping habits are very important. This is firstly very important for their concentration the next day. If they don't get a good night's sleep, it impacts all their brain processes throughout the following day. So the most important, there are so many tips that I can give you, parents, about good sleeping habits, but the most important one I think that I can give tonight is that hour before they go to bed. We call that winding down time. So during that hour, it's no screen time. It's winding down time. This, by the way, is a very good time to tell stories or to read a story together, or they can listen to an audio story. They can build some Legos while listening to music. But that hour before bedtime is so incredibly important, because that is when the brain starts getting ready to go to sleep. Okay, so that's a very important tip. It's always good to maybe include bath time in that hour before going to bed, because it relaxes them. Okay, and then parents, if we take a critical look at ourselves, can we honestly say that we present good listening skills, that we demonstrate good listening skills? How often does it happen that your child listens to you or is telling you something, and you are on your phone, you're not making eye contact, you're not replying, you're not responding to what they're saying, or you're giving just a wrong random type of response like yes, that's, they model us. So are we always demonstrating good listening skills? And I know, I have a little girl myself, I know they ask 100 questions per hour. But to help them develop, it really helps to answer them in full sentences, with words, because they remember those words and they will use them in other situations as well. But eye contact, also very important. Also, then physical aspects can influence their listening skills, like hearing problems. Colds, allergies, sinus can definitely impact your listening skills, or something like ear blockage could impact your listening skills. I had a little one at my center who struggled to discriminate between b and p. And at the end of the day, after having gone to the doctor, the only problem was a blocked airway passage that had to be cleaned out. So yes, there are definitely physical aspects that could hinder your listening skill development. But that is something that you can have checked out should you have any questions or worries about that. And then we need cognitive skills to develop our listening skills. Now, parents and teachers, cognitive skills are just our brain skills, our developmental skills that we need to be able to learn and to be able to function as human beings. Our first very important cognitive skill that we need is attention. Like I said, attention is that door that opens for you to be able to learn and take in what's happening around you. If there's no attention, if that primary door doesn't open, then we can't learn, we can't understand. So attention is needed, and if they listen with attention, they remember, which brings us to memory. We need to have memory skills, well-developed memory skills, because we want to learn a new word and keep it in our vocab library, or we want to remember specific sounds so that later on we can sequence them together to build a word. That automatically brings us to sequencing, putting sounds in a row in the correct sequence to form a word, like the word was. First it's a w, then a, then s, was. If you say it in that sequence, it gives us the word was, not saw, was. And when we practice it with our little ones, we will say to them, what is the first sound that you heard when I said was? Okay, that is where sequencing comes in. And then inference, for those of you who've never heard of inference, inference is the ability to make an assumption from facts. For example, Lindy has been going to the gym very often. She must be trying to lose weight. Or Lindy has been going to the gym very often. She must be trying to get fit. Okay. All dogs love belly rubs. Jock is a dog, so he must love belly rubs too. So inference is the ability to take facts and try to build your own assumption from those facts. Okay. This is also necessary to improve your listening skills. And then something like discrimination, it goes back to that example that I gave about the b and the p. Our brains need to also discriminate between the sounds, not only our ears, but our brains and our neurological system as well. And then, of course, our vocabulary. So our vocabulary, our listening skills are going to build out this vocabulary library that we have in our brains, helping us to learn words that we can use and to teach us and assist us to use those words in the correct way and in the correct setting. So those are the cognitive skills that we need. Besides from cognitive skills needed to develop listening skills, there are some other supporting skills for improvement that we need as well. Firstly, to improve listening skills, we need to improve our focus. All right. The shorter time we focus, or we can stay focused, the less information we're taking in. Remember, attention or focus is the door that opens for information to come in. If that door closes after 3 minutes, we're blocking out information that could have come in. So that's why we want to improve focus and attention together with listening. The other factor around focus is we need attention and focus to filter through distractions so that we don't become overwhelmed by noises around us. Okay. And then the other supporting skill that we need for improving our listening skills is deliberate learning. Remember, in that first fact sheet, I mentioned that children learn better if they are engaged in an activity, if they're learning deliberately. So teaching them something and making sure that they're engaged in such a way that they're very deliberately and consciously busy with what you're teaching them. And that's the same, goes hand in hand with activity engagement. We can't just present to them. Preschool teachers, you will know, with a toddler, it's not about standing in front of the class and presenting something to them. It's about being on their level, sitting on the carpet, making eye contact, calling them by their names, engaging them. If you talk about a house, you let them hold the house, feel it, experience it. A house has 4 sides. This house looks different than that house. So activity engagement is very important in building up the listening skills. And then time with adults. And you might be wondering why the whole time we're saying time with adults. So parents, remember, we want to improve listening skills, which means that they have to have the correct exposure to pronunciation, to vocabulary, so that they can make it their own. All right. Time with adults is not the same as time with adults on the TV. All right, so remember, a lot of our TV programs are American, so our little ones are now saying tomatoes instead of tomatoes, like we do in South Africa, so please don't confuse the two. I always say, when I do a workshop, I say to my parents, listen, your voice is their safe sound. They got used to your voice even before they were born. So when you speak, their brains automatically activate. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but they do internally respond to your voice. So if you, as a parent, read to them, if you engage with them, they will be more actively engaged and learning more deliberately. And then that brings us to our next slide, which is just a little bit about the magic of the iListen program. And parents, teachers, I am saying these things to you from a professional point of view. There is definitely a lot of magic in this iListen program. So Karen will be explaining to you exactly how the technology works, but they use feedback technology. Remember, parents and teachers, concentration is something that you can't see. Listening is something that you can't see. You can only observe body language. Okay, so feedback technology makes it possible for us to see the concentration and to actually see when they're paying attention. And that enables us to coach accordingly. And that gives us deliberate learning. And that gives us active activity engagement. So that's very, very important. The program also gives us targeted cognitive skills training. Remember the cognitive skills that I spoke about that we need to be able to listen? Memory, the sequencing, the attention, the inference, the vocabulary. Those are all cognitive skills that we need to improve our listening skills and to develop our listening skills. So the program includes targeted cognitive skills practice, which is amazing. It gives us deliberate practice because we can see exactly when they are focused while we work with them. And I love this. There's guided parent involvement. Remember, throughout my presentation, I was saying that they love your voice. They need to engage with you. They need to engage with adults. So the program actually offers guided parent involvement as well. I know Karen and Marlies have put a lot of time into working out this program, but the content is amazing, and the results that we've seen is very, very amazing. So to me, it just ticks the boxes, but I'm going to hand over to Karen so that she can tell you a bit more about how the technology exactly works and what you can expect from iListen and from BioLink with this program.
Thank you, Wilma. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, so I need to start by saying to you that this is not the technology that we've been using. We've been using it for more than 14 years already. So it's not new technology. It's technology that we have in our big BioLink program. What we just did was we took very specific exercises for the specific need, and we put it in a little package, especially for the little ones, for the 5 and 6 year olds. Now, why this came about, I don't have to tell you that it's all over the news. If I open Google, there's something that they say about poor listening skills, poor comprehension, poor reading. You know that. And also, we work with over the years. We've worked with so many kids, and especially when we get them in a place, when we do our study methods courses, when we start working with our grade 4s, and because remember, we don't teach like in teachers, but if we come, and there's a scenario where we now sit with students, and now we're going to teach them how to identify keywords, read with comprehension, things like that. Over the years, we've just seen how it gets worse and worse and worse every year. So this what's happening now. We've been seeing it for many, many years. So I think it's just now it's all over the news, and it's now a big problem. And the thing is, if they are struggling when they are in grade 4 and grade 5 to catch up with everything that I've lost, it's very hard work. So we sat down and said, listen, we've got this whole program, and if we look at where does it go wrong? Where should we start and help them in an earlier stage? And that's in preschool. And remember, and I'll show you now, we're not going to do worksheets or anything like that. This is very specific for parents and for teachers. But the main thing that I want to bring over is that the better parents understand what their role is as parents in their children's lives at this stage, it's going to make a very, very big difference when they are older. And I've seen this with my own child. So I've been BioLink almost 16, 17 years old now. So when I started, my oldest son was in grade 1. He's now 23 years old. My middle son is 21. And then when I was 41, I had a little heart lummy. So he's now 10. Now, because of what I've been doing and all the knowledge that I had, I knew what me as a parent, what I did wrong, if I can call it that, and how I could change the way I communicate with him, how I helped him in the foundation phase with his work. If you do it, if you are as a parent are absolutely involved and you understand how the brain works, how the brain learns, it changes everything, because we need to understand, and I know it's not the norm out there. A lot of parents feel like I'm sending my child to a private school, or there's a school where there's not a lot of kids in a classroom. It's the teacher's responsibility. That ship has sailed. It's not like that anymore. If you want to help your child to be effective and independent as they grow older, you need to step in and help them and be a part of how they develop. And the only way you can do that is if you as a parent understand what you need to do, because that's the main thing. I mean, I was a teacher, and they didn't teach us any of these things at university. We were just now with the Department of Education here in the Free State, and if we talk to the school inspectors and all those people, and we tell them what they do, they look at us with big frowns because they don't even know what we're talking about. And I mean, a teacher needs, if they've got this knowledge, it changes everything as well. So this program, and our hope and our vision with this program is to bring everyone together, to show parents and to help them to be a very important part in this growth, but also the teachers. And we've been, like I said, we've been using this many years, but this specific program is really, and we've seen some schools here in Bloemfontein, and they are very excited about presenting to them. So I want to introduce you then to how we are going to start. We call this our entry-level program, okay? And like Wilma said, this is the 6 areas that we are going to work on, all right? So those is attention, discrimination, sequencing, interference, memory, and vocabulary, okay? Now, the program, how it works is it's a 28-week entry-level program. So this is just to get them going, because remember, they're still very, very small. So we need to work on their level, and we have to keep it on a level that they will be able to achieve. So we've got 2 integral parts of this program. So at school, we are going to do sessions with the children at school, and then also, and this is where we educate the parents and help you to understand. And you're not going to do, I don't want you to look at this and feel, I've got now extra work to do. The same with teachers. I always say, if you understand how the brain learns, and you know you're going to speak in a different, your language is going to change. How you're going to talk to them is going to change. So it's all about education. So there's 2 parts, the school part and then the home part. So I'm going to start with the school part. Now you have to bear with me here, because I need to explain to you why this technology is out of this world, why this is so good. And so the main thing how this works, like Wilma said, remember, and when we speak to teachers, we always tell them, we say, you tell the children, listen, you must now pay attention. What do you want them to do? It's such an abstract word. They don't know what to do. They will say, I have to sit still, keep quiet, things like that. And especially if there's any teachers, I know there's teachers here, something especially at this age, they are all very impulsive. So they will jump up and go do something else. And a lot of times, especially when we work with the grade 1s, is teachers will say, a lot of times they will say, that child is just rude, he's interrupting me the whole time. Because one of the skills that they really struggle with when they're so small is impulse control. But it's normal, because that skill has not been developed yet. But a lot of time you absorb it, and it looks like it always looks like concentration. Parents and teachers will see behavior, and they will always say it's concentration. It's not. Okay, but how this program then works, you can see this armband. So it's about the size of the palm of my hand, and all this device does is it measures active engagement. So the device doesn't do anything. It's like your Fitbit watch. It's exactly the same. But what it measures brain activity in real time. It measures beta and theta brain waves. So if your beta brain waves, the frequency is very high, that's when you are in the here and the now. I'm listening, I'm attentive. If theta is very high, that's how, when we sit in front of the TV and we just fall asleep, that's when you are not really paying. You are there, but you are not there. So all this device does, it's going to measure in real time if the person sitting with the armband on is in an attentive state of mind or not. So I always explain this to parents, is This is actually, for me, a communication tool to show a child how it actually looks and feels to be attentive. Because people can't tell me that your grade 1s, 2s, and 3s, those children are naughty. They will display certain behaviors, but it's because they don't, and it's so abstract. They will behave in a certain way, and it will look actually different than the cause of the behavior. So all this does is going to measure if this child is attentive or not, but it's going to show the child, I am attentive or not, because they don't want to get in trouble. All right. So what's important is, and you'll see this, the square here, is this is essential, guys. This is an individualized program. So I want to explain this with an example. Sorry, I was a teacher and I need to be practical. So let's say, for instance, Vilma and I, we're going to a tennis coach for tennis lessons. I've never in my life hit the ball, but Vilma has done a little bit of tennis. Okay, so now we have the same coach. And now the coach is going to teach us to serve, right? So the skill is to serve. He is going to teach me in a different way than her, right? So the same as here. So what happens is every child that comes to us gets a unique, we log into their name. They get their own little portal. Now, remember what I said, this device measures brain activity in real time. So after each and every session, we have EEG graphs where I can see what happened in every second of that duration of the exercise that we did. Now, after 7 sessions, the algorithm, the AI that's built, excuse me, into the program is now going to say, oh, this is Vilma's attention span. This is Vilma's memory. So it's going to read the child's capabilities. And then it's going to start custom fitting the program and what's going to be done for them. So each and every child that comes to us will have an individualized program. Sorry, guys, about that. Now, so we specifically chosen 3 cognitive skills. So you'll see here on the right-hand side is some of the exercises that's in our advanced program. We are only going to work on 3 of them. We're going to work on short-term memory, auditory processing, and spatial memory. So how this is going to work is they will sit with the armband on. It will measure as soon as they are actively engaged, the exercise will stop. So for instance, this one, you all know this one's that little cards that will turn around, and you need to remember which one goes with which one. As soon as they are actively engaged, the program will communicate, the armband will communicate it wireless to the computer, and the card is going to turn around. All right, and then it will change back, and then as soon they need to be actively engaged, so they need to be in full focus the whole time for the exercise to play. Now, if they then lose concentration or focus, it stops. So immediately, so for instance, let's say they're playing the game and now they looked away. Of course, it's going to stop. So now it's a way for us to communicate with a child and show them, did you see what happened when you looked away? Your cards didn't move. So it's like, that's why I'm saying it's a communication tool for us to let them understand that certain behaviors are self-destructing. All right. And now what's going to happen is that the program is going to set certain goals as we go through the program. After each and every session, they will get a score that's on their level, and the program is going to set goals for them. So that's it in a nutshell. The main thing is, if they are focused and they are there, it works. And if it's not, it stops. And we can now, that's where the executive functioning coach comes in, because we need to help them. And because this is very difficult. Okay, it sounds easy, but it's very, very difficult. So when we go to school, we are going to see them for half an hour. So we divided it into 2 parts, where they are we're only going to do 2 exercises. So we'll alternate the exercises that we are going to do. All right. Now, the second half, and this is the most awesome part. And why I'm saying this is in our big advanced program, we've seen this with the big kids. It changes everything. So this is where we are now going to use the same device, but now we're going to let them listen to a story. And I did a demo on a few teachers and they struggled because to listen, you need to be in the here and the now. You need to be mindful about listening and making sense of what you are hearing. Because what happens now, we put the armband on. We're going to play a little story. It's going to be a 5-minute story for them. But as soon as they are not actively engaged, the story is going to stop in their ears. And now they need to become more, because we teach them self-awareness, become more aware and get their focus back. And we've got tools and techniques that we help them to get there because it's so difficult. And as soon as they are actively engaged again, the story will go on. Now, I want to tell you, when we work with the bigger kids, we've had high school students, guys, that we give them a 10-minute story to listen, or sometimes we give them schoolwork to listen to, depends on their age. It will take them 25 minutes sometimes to complete a 10-minute piece of work because they can't focus. And it's then when they realize that I'm not really listening in class. So this is going to be exactly the same. We're going to force them and help them to be absolutely actively engaged, making sense of the words, okay? Because at the end of the story, when it stops, we are going to ask them 5 specific stories. Wilma, I'm going to ask you quickly because Wilma helped us a lot with why we are asking these specific questions. Wilma, can you just quickly explain that to us?
Yes. So if you remember back to my part of the presentation, I emphasized deliberate learning. Okay. And when we look at our cognitive skills, there's an emphasis on memory. Okay. So if we ask specific questions, we ask questions, for example, about the character. Can you remember what color her dress was? And then we ask some imaginary questions, some fantasy questions. Wow, if you were to find a treasure chest, what would you do with all the gold and with all the treasure? And by including those different types of questions, this becomes a very deliberate practice, and this becomes a very engaging practice. And that is the reason why we gave the questions very, very specific thought, so that it's effective.
Yeah, thank you, Wilma. Now, let me tell you, even for adults, to listen to something for 5 minutes and then retell what you heard, it's not so easy. Sounds easy, but it's not so easy. So what we've done with the children, as we've been doing this even with our 5-year-olds that's in our big program already, is that we teach them to write or draw a little picture. So you'll see, we've got each and every child get a sheet like this when they come for the session. And we ask them, okay, so listen. And like I said, remember, we've got many strategies, but this one works wonderful. Is we tell them, listen, okay, you're gonna listen to the story, and to help you to remember, just start drawing what you are hearing. So with these little ones, we let them draw because they can't write. With the bigger ones, when they get into the advanced program, that's where we actually start teaching them to take notes. Okay, but now they're going to sit, and it's so cute because in the beginning they struggled. Everything is all on each other, and they can't remember, and they just struggle, and it's actually so cute. But now, as we are teaching them, okay, draw a little bit there, and then draw a little bit there, and then draw a little bit there. They start, and they get that sequence going, and then they start using the pictures to retell what they heard. And it works wonderfully. And if we look at the drawings in the beginning and we drawings at the end, it's actually amazing to see that, that end result. So when they do listen to the story, we're going to help them to listen with intent, because now they understand what to do, they start listening in another manner. Okay. What the facilitator then also going to do is, out of this discussion, because then they're going to stop and we're going to ask the questions and we're going to have a little discussion. So this is where we're going to start reach over to the parents. So we are going to identify 5 words that they maybe struggled with or didn't understand, that we are going to make notes of here, right? These 5 words are now going to be sent to the parents. So the parents going to get a WhatsApp from the facilitator saying, listen, this is the 5 words that we are going to practice this week, right? And you try and use this and recite it and practice in different scenarios, because we are now going to start creating not just the word, but meanings of the word in different places that they can use the words, right? Now, when we go to school, we are going to see them 2 half-an hours a week. So on a Tuesday and a Thursday, for instance, or Monday and a Friday. So the parents will only get 1 set of 5. We're only going to focus on 5, right? Now, this is where I'm going to transition then to the home program. And this one is essential. And I promise you, I had you in mind, because I know if you have other kids and you're a working mom, it's very easy to tell parents, play games like Simon says, right? But then you sit there and you think, okay, what can Simon now say? Okay, so what we have created for you is we've created, first of all, a little workbook where we explain, because remember, it's for us very important. I need you to understand these words, what it means and how it looks in real life. So this booklet is going to explain to you everything. But now what we did is I worked out a 28-week, because it's for 28 weeks. I've worked out each and every week what you are going to do with your little one. And I've taken these 6 different categories of cognitive skills. So for instance, week 1 there, I've written exactly what you need to do. Now, remember, you can maybe, if you're a working mom or you don't have time, this is going to take you so fast. Take yourself and say, listen, on a Saturday morning, I'm going to spend this little time with my child. I want to tell you, the more you are going to do this, because this is what's going to happen, where you are going to do an inference exercise or do a Simon Says or a memory game, because you are now going to understand and have this knowledge in your brain. If you now go to the supermarket, you are going to know exactly, oh, I can maybe use this example and I'm going to practice this. So what I'm trying to say is, with this, we're giving you everything that you need to do. You are going to learn so much, and you are going to be able to apply this after you've done this a few times without my help anyways. But everything is worked out for the 28 days, 28 weeks. And then I've created a resource booklet. So yes, Simon Says, and again, I explained to you why we use Simon Says. I want you to understand why we use that. And then I've created like enough Simon Says games that you can then read and play with it. So you don't even have to go think about what can I use. Same with the memory games. I've given you so many memory games, and we've created this with things that's in your house, in the kitchen, where you do your needlework or whatever, in the kitchen, the garage. So if you're not going to you don't have to go buy anything. Everything is in your house. You're going to use that. So this is more than 100 pages resource booklet that you can then use. So some of the exercises you need, there is a little bit of worksheets in, but that's now to I Spy with my little eye, or they have to discriminate between forms or colors, all right? But for each and every of those 6 cognitive skills, I've created games. You're going to play with your child, all right? And like I said, what makes me so excited is because I know that this is going to start making sense to you, and you are going to do this without even thinking as we go. By the end of the 28 days, a week, you are going to be superb with these cognitive skills. Okay. And then what we're also going to do, because remember, they love recognition and they love reward charts and things like that, right? So they will have a little chart like this at school, where we will, as soon as they finish their session, they're going to put a little sticker there. And when you have done your work with them, this needs to go to on the fridge. So every time that you've done it, you give them a little sticker, say, hey, go stick it up there, because that's the 28-week program there, so they can see how they are progressing. So we've made stickers and all the templates that you need to do this, it's in there. You don't have to go do anything. And then this one is very important. This is the word list. So we want you to put this on the fridge, and then if you receive your 5-letter words, you're going to write them there on there. And remember, we're explaining to them what we're doing. So every time that you ask the word, or they remember, or they ask you about the word, they can go and make a little ticky on there and say, yes, I've used it. I just made 7 columns. It can be more like that, but it's just for repetitiveness. Because one thing that I want to tell you, especially if you guys, if they go to grade 1, sometimes if they get something right and they can do it, don't think they're going to do it again tomorrow or in a week's time. You need to repeat. It's very important with these children to do it a lot of times, because they tend to forget. Okay. Vilma, is there anything else here that I missed out of? I think I've covered everything here, no?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
All the resources are there with great explanations. And I think the thing is, I just want to emphasize again, don't see it as extra work. It's not a daily exercise program. Remember, it's been worked out weekly, so that it's digestible for everybody. And you're going to see it's bonding time. It's really bonding time with your little ones. And you're going to see they're going to love you for it.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but now I need to tell you this, because remember, I said now that we are practicing those 3 cognitive skills, but I need to also tell you this, because remember, we are going to work on attention the whole time, because the story is not going to play, the exercise is not going to play if they are not fully attentive. So we are forcing the brain to do it for longer and longer periods of time. So we're forming new neurological pathways. So we are going to work on attention in any case, right? Then we are going to work on brain processing speed, because this one exercise where we are going to do this, the short-term memory, as soon as they are actively engaged, the program gives them a sequence. Now, you know the arrow keys on the computer, and remember, they struggle in the beginning with their little hands, but they get it right. We help them. Now, it will give them a sequence. Now, as soon as the sequence comes up, the program, they need to wait until the program says go. So remember what I said? Sometimes they're impulsive because they're going to press the keyboard. As soon as they are too fast, the program's going to stop. So again, we've got this feedback that teaches them to understand what it means to wait, because children they don't understand waiting. Waiting is very difficult to understand. But now, because they get that feedback, they know they have to wait that little bit. Okay. If they are too slow, also, so we're working on brain processing speed. So either if they're too slow, we're going to work on that. We're going to be faster. Or if they're too fast, we're going to slow them down. All right. And then, like Vilma said, this exercises has got, and when we work with them, we sit in a normal area. We simulate classroom because they need to be able to hear all the other stuff, but filter and keep focus. And I put this one here as well because they are small. Sometimes they get so frustrated because this God doesn't want to turn and I am focusing. Then they get, I don't want to say mad, but agitated and frustrated. As soon as that happens, there's no attention. So what happens is it stops. So now it gives us a wonderful opportunity to start teaching them about mindfulness, because mindfulness is a very difficult thing to explain, even to adults, because it's something that you feel in your body. Now, if they get frustrated, everything is going to stop. And then the coach then is going to help them and say, okay, let's breathe. We talk them through that process. And as soon as they are calmed down, the program is going to continue. And that's where the first time that they start experiencing to, just wait and breathe and be calm. Okay, so this is actually, we do this in any case. Okay, so people always then ask us about what happens now after the 28 weeks. Now, that's when you then get bumped up to our advanced program, where we now give you access to the full suite of all the other very important exercises that they need to, or skills that they need to develop. And I want to show you what we do. As soon as they are done through the 28-day program, we are going to give, included into the fee, is a free focus assessment. And I'll get to the fees, how much we're going to charge for the sessions, but we are going to give you a free focus assessment. And the focus assessment, teachers, if you are here, this is an awesome, awesome tool to use and for you to understand the child's skill set. So we measure 4 aspects of attentional control. We measure attention span, brain processing speed, impulsivity, and then we measure the effect that auditory and visual distractions has on a child's ability to pay attention. Now, I'm going to show you quickly an example of this. Now, this assessment, there's no language or anything. They just kind of looks like a game, and it's a 20-minute game, and it gives us a wonderful scenario idea to understand the child. So many times, parents comes to us and say the teacher says this or the teacher says that, or a parent will say that my child, there's no concentration. And then I always tell people, if they want advice, I can only advise you on things to do in your house if I know what your child can do. And this assessment, we don't thumbs up. It's a computerized assessment. It's standardized and validated. This assessment is used, we co-developed it with AfriForte. It's the Workwell arm of Potch University. And very proud to say that we co-developed this. We launched this in 2017 in America, and it's being used worldwide in all the different languages. And it's a simple explanation of understanding your child's skill set. And remember, I'm saying this on purpose, skill set. A skill set can be improved. So this assessment, and let me sort of preach to you, because I preach to this to all parents. If you ever take your child anywhere and they do assessments, don't ever feel like they're going to tell me what's wrong with my child. Don't have an attitude of, if I do an assessment, they're going to show me what's wrong with my child. Have an assessment. I have an attitude of, if I do an assessment, it's a communication tool for me to understand my child and where I should assist them. So I wanted to show you this of a little girl, and I took out everything, but to show you, so what this measures, like I said, those 4 constants. Now, consistency is attention. Now, you see this little bar. Now, the assessment is 20 minutes long. You see that purple line there. That's the norm group for females 6 years old. And then that blue is the child's score. So if this shows us, of course, then that she's within a norm, but it's very low. So if I take that 17 minutes just to make this real for a parent and a teacher to understand why they see the certain behavior, I worked it out. So out of 20 minutes, 17% means about 3 minutes. Out of 20 minutes, this child was attentive. So imagine now in a class where it's 30 minutes class, and because now they are there, and then their mind wanders off, and then they press it again, and then their mind wanders off. And the big thing is if they go to grade 1, as soon as they get to grade 1, the more formal setting, they struggle. And then if you understand and you see this, we know where to work, okay? So we want the score, of course, as high as possible. Performance is brain processing speed. Look at that. So everything. So if a teacher tells this child, listen, go get your bag and take out your lunchbox. It's too much. Go, look at them, go and get your bag, come back. That multiple step directions, they are going to fall off the bus. And you know what happens with teachers? They will see the child asking the whole time, what must I do? What must I do? And then sometimes and remember, I'm saying this, I'm not pointing fingers because they don't have a tool like we have, is that it looks like attention, but it's not. It's brain processing speed, okay? So everything is not always attention, all right? So we want those two scores go to the right. Impulsivity, you can see, look at the norm group guys. They are all impulsive when they're that age. Her score is high, it's 60%. So now we want the score to go down. We don't want her to be impulsive, right? And on the right-hand side over here is we measure the effect of distraction. So this helps teachers as well. If we work with them, this child, the score is it's on the higher end of the chart. So this child hears and sees everything. So if this child needs to sit right in front with a teacher, if you put this child in the back of the class, they're going to look out the window and do everything. And as soon as someone is sharpening a pencil, they are going to be all over the show. It's like I said, it's a communication tool. So what happens now, as soon as they get into our program, this is where we scientifically then can show parents, listen, this is where she was, and this is where we are now. Because this is what we want. We want scientific evidence. I don't want some suck. Give me the facts. But it takes time, guys. It takes time to develop these skills. Takes time. So part of the program, the iListen program, then is that we will do this assessment for you, so that you then can decide if you want to move up to our advanced sessions, advanced level sessions, right? Now, the cost for because everyone asks us this, the cost per session is 125 Rand per session. So that works out to 250 Rand an hour, which if you talk to any person is not a lot of money. So I always say I don't like talking about the money, but the money is important. For me, it's important that you see the value that you're going to get for that amount that you're going to spend. And as soon as they advance to the whole program, the cost is exactly the same, right? Then I just wanted to show you here. So there's our website. If you want to go there, you can go you'll find it at the top of our website. There is find an agent near you. So you can now go to the website and go find an agent, because there's two ways in which you can do this. So like, for instance, Wilma can do it at the center or go to schools. We are mobile, so we can go to any school, right? So if there's not an agent in your area, you can contact us. If there's schools that would be interested in looking at this to implement into their school, where there's you can contact us and send me an email. There is my email address. Okay, if you are interested in maybe incorporating this into your school. Otherwise, we go and we service the schools in our area. And the main thing is we really, really want to make a difference and involve everyone, involve the teachers, but also involving parents, so that you can really play a very big part here. And I promise you, you are going to reap the benefits from that. All right. Wilma, is there anything in conclusion that you would like to add before I go to questions?
No, so from my side, I would just also like to thank everybody for being here. You're also welcome to direct questions at me or email Karen and she will send it to me and I will be in contact with you. Bottom line, preschoolers, very important time for listening skills development, and this is a very effective way of deliberate practice. That's my conclusion.
Yeah, thank you so much. Is there anyone that would like to ask something? If you want to email Vilma, Vilma's is very easy. Where mine is info, hers is Vilma at Violin Brain Training. So you are more than welcome to ask her anything if you want to email her as well. All right. Is there any questions that in the chat? If there's anyone who wants to ask anything, if you want to have a discussion afterwards, maybe ask more questions, things like that, please send me an email and we can chat over Zoom and we can so that we can get you going. But I think, guys, the bottom line here is if we don't start early enough, you don't want to sit at a place where this morning, I got an SMS or WhatsApp from a mom that is now in shambles. Her child is in grade 7. And now she realizes she left the child now to do his own, he have to work on his own. And she just realized that he couldn't do it. And she realized that he can't read and he doesn't understand what he's reading because he was now just memorizing things and it doesn't make sense to him. Don't wait too long. Rather see this. I always tell parents, listen, as physical movement for preschoolers are important before when they do play ball or gymnastics or dance or whatever, before you enroll them for, let's say, because everyone is so worried about maths and things like that, start with the brain. If the brain doesn't function, if the cognitive skills that the child needs to be able to learn, read, learn, and listen, it doesn't help you doing all these extra stuff. You need to start at the basis. You need to start at the brain skills for them to be able to do all these other things. Okay. So I see there's no questions. So thank you, guys. Appreciate the time. We're going to send out the recording. I'm also going to add I forgot to say something. What we also do, guys, and let me just quickly go back. I'm so sorry. And I did put it here. Let me just quickly go there. So I want to show you what we also do at the schools is we do teacher training and parent training. So what we do over here is if the school wants us to, we come and we do a training on cognitive skills, how it looks like, with some examples of exercises and games that they can play in the classroom. But we also do the same for so like a parent meeting where we explain to them exactly how this works. And I'm going to send you all that registered. I'm going to send you a copy of this ebook, but this is also part of the service that we render because we want to educate people so that they understand the importance of these skills and where, if they go up into the higher grades, if these skills are not strong, they struggle with other things and you don't want to go there. Okay, so thank you, guys. It was wonderful having you here and I hope you all have a great evening further. Bye.
Bye-bye.